evening, all of you. Thank you for joining. We will begin discussions on unemployment then. Good evening, Krishna. Good evening, Simant. Good evening, Swati. चलो चाय पे चर्चा करते हैं. So we will talk about unemployment and then go further. Also connected to the discussion I did with you on labor reforms earlier, and you can use the YouTube video. I had given you the link of my video on unemployment on labor law reforms. So all that will combine to give you a good idea on unemployment. Good evening, Samyak. Good evening, Sagar. Good evening, Prateek. Good evening, Abhishek. Good evening, Rishikesh. Thank you, Rishikesh. Good evening, Adarsh. Good evening, Rishabh. Good evening, Prerna. Good evening, Mitlesh. Good evening, Vibhu. Good evening, Mayank. So let's get going. Good evening, Kumar. Hello, Shubham. Good evening. Good evening, Haritha. Good evening, Akanksha. कुमार वो पॉइंट सिंपल सा है कि मोनोपोलीज को मत राइज करने दो. तो एमआरटीपी एक्ट लाया गया था लेकिन वो रोक नहीं पाया, तो अब एक नया एक्ट लाओ कुछ ऐसा जो मोनोपोली पावर ना बढ़ने दे. We will talk about it, Ashutosh. Good evening, Pooja. तनिष कभी डिनर को रोक दो थोड़ी देर के लिए. Good evening, Prince. Good evening, Nitesh. Good evening, Prateek. Good one, Prateek. Good evening, Tejaswini. I'm good, Prince. Thank you. After all these classes, I feel rather better and more enervated, if you ask me. Okay, so let's get going. See, when you talk about unemployment, we have already discussed this part, that unemployment is when a person is unable to find a gainful employment. If a person is not able to find anything gainful as employment, that's called unemployment. Good evening, Pooja. Good evening, Manisha. I have already shared the link, Prerna, in the group on labor law reforms. Labor law reforms lecture. The link I have already shared in the group. If you will scroll through upwards, you will find it. Downwards, I'm sorry. Okay. Now see, there are several ways. That is one possible solution, Mayank, but not the entire solution. Good evening, Ritika. All right. I see in the evening most of you are able to join. In the afternoon, still some of you are absent at times. Good evening, Aman. Okay, so I think let's get going. So one measure of unemployment is usual status unemployment. Usual status unemployment is also called open unemployment or chronic unemployment. Good evening, Prabhat. Good evening, Jyotsna. Shubham, ये complete कर देगा combination. Good evening, Harshita. So usual status unemployment or chronic unemployment is number of people who remained unemployed in major part of the year. Major part is taken as more than 182 days. If out of 365 days you remain unemployed for more than 182 days, then that is called chronic unemployment. If out of 365 days you remain unemployed for more than 182 days, that is called chronic unemployment. Okay, Prerna, right. Good evening, Akshay. तनिष्क वैसा नहीं है. Nice, Ayush. Okay, so then normally when you use the word unemployment, the usual status unemployment is seen that do people find employment at least for more than 182 days out of 365 days, and if a person is unemployed for more than 6 months of the year, then we say that the usual status of the person is unemployed. Another measure of unemployment is weekly status unemployment. So weekly status unemployment is if a person has not been able to find job in even one day out of the last 7 days, then it is said to be, the person is weekly status unemployed. If a person doesn't find job in even one day out of last 7 days, then they are weekly status unemployed. And current daily status is that if a person does not find job on a daily basis, then the person is unemployed on a current daily status. So these are the statements that cover definition of unemployment. For the purpose of finding unemployment, normally the usual status unemployment is observed. For the purpose of finding unemployment, normally usual status unemployment is observed. Also remember one thing, in the data on employment trends that I have given you, good evening Sambhav, in the data on employment trends that I have given you, you will see those trends till 2012, because after 2013-14, government has not published any data reflecting the level of unemployment. After 2013-14, government has not published any data reflecting the level of unemployment. But a major challenge that we face in this field is jobless growth. A major challenge that we face in this field is jobless growth. So I'm starting the first discussion over there. That is critical analysis of jobless growth in India. It's not there in your notes in much detail. I will be discussing it right now and we will try understanding about it. A critical analysis of jobless growth in India. Now see, jobless growth was a term coined by Professor K. Sundaram, looking at low employment elasticity of India's growth, looking at low employment elasticity of India's growth. That is, GDP growth in the post-liberalization phase increased at a faster pace, but percentage increase in employment was much below percentage increase in GDP growth. It was unlike the high growth phase observed in East Asia, where employment increase almost matched and in some years it was greater than increase in GDP. So, this was a term. Professor K. Sundaram was someone who would teach at Delhi School of Economics and was a researcher on demography and labor market trends in India. Now, Professor Sundaram coined this word somewhere around 2004-5. He said that India has been growing fastest ever that it has grown, but the employment elasticity is much lesser than even 1970s when growth was one of the lowest ever. So even in 1970s when average growth rate was below 5%, in fact below 4%, even then India had a larger employment elasticity. Employment elasticity is percentage change in GDP growth, employment divided by percentage change in GDP growth. That with the change in GDP growth, how much is the increase in employment? So India's employment elasticity was greater than 1 in 70s and 80s, but by 90s and thereafter it has been observed that India's employment elasticity has come below 1, and now many people suspect that it is far below even 0.5. India's employment elasticity is below 1, and many people suspect that it is far below even 0.5 today. That is, for a 10% growth, employment doesn't grow by even 5%. Rather, it grows at 2% or 1% and so on. And that is not something very healthy for a large populated economy like India. So this is kind of an introduction that we can talk when we discuss jobless growth, that in East Asian economies like South Korea, China, the Southeast Asian economies like Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, it was seen that in their initial phase of growth, when they started growing very quickly at the rate of 8%, 10%, then employment grew at an even faster rate, and that led to more and more increase in the distribution of growth among people. In India, it has been observed that high growth phase have been accompanied by comparatively lesser increase in employment. Now, part of it is true, part of it is not completely true. And that is what we will analyze in the next 10-15 minutes as to how we can approach this topic. The Center for Monitoring Indian Economy is a comparatively credible source, Deepak. The only problem is that, again, they are dominated by people from the left, and sometimes they exaggerate the numbers that they get. Sometimes they misrepresent the numbers that they get. That's also important, that when you misrepresent the numbers, then also you have a problem part there. So this is observed at times, and that is a problem. That is something to get worried about. Now, but CMIE data doesn't get accepted by the government, and that is why you can't quote it in the exam. Otherwise, CMIE data gives you a decent trend idea. The trend part is, of course, quite observable. Okay. Let us now take it further. Now see, we get into reasons for jobless growth. Now, in the notes that I have given you, in those notes, I have discussed with you some reasons of unemployment in India. So they also contain reasons of jobless growth, and there are also particular reasons I have given you, of reasons for jobless growth per se, that why jobless growth has happened in India. But again, we will add a little more. That is what we will need to do. It's in the initial part itself with employment trends that you see. That is where we talk about how employment trends show presence of jobless growth in India. And that is where I've given you some numbers on employment trends. You just read through it, keep the trend in mind, because in case they ever ask you a question, you will have to then use the trend in the picture, that you will have to then at least give them a basic idea of trends of growth in India. So be prepared on that part. Do give them the trends in case they ask you that. All right. Now see, well, ideally it should be 1:1 at least, Ashutosh. That if your GDP is growing at 10%, especially in the initial phase, and employment should grow at something like 10%. Ideally it should be that. Now we begin with things. One, service-led growth. Here, most of growth in India in last 20 years can be attributed to growth of capital intensive services like IT, ITES, finance. These are capital intensive services. Banking, insurance, stock market, information technology enabled services like business process outsourcing and all. So these are all services which are employment intensive in nature. Capital intensive in nature. So their employment intensity is low to begin with, but they are high value services. They are services which create a lot of high value in the system. Finance, etc. Which results in very high value of growth without corresponding increase in employment. So that is the first problem that we observe, that there is service-led growth, high value additions take place, but corresponding increase in employment is at times missing. Employment elasticity of these sectors is very low. The employment elasticity of these sectors is very low. That is the first challenge that we observe about service-led growth in India. Employment did not increase at the same level as it could. In fact, labor-intensive services like education, healthcare, tourism, etc., have not observed similar growth and hence employment potential. In fact, you can add one more important service here: communication and broadcasting. Huge contribution to India's growth story. Communication and broadcasting. So most of growth in last 20 years can be attributed to growth of capital intensive services like information technology enabled services, finance, communication and broadcasting, etc. So your growth has high value but less employment. And the labor intensive services like education, healthcare, tourism have not observed similar growth and have employment potential, and hence employment potential of service sector has remained unexplored. So this is one reason where India's GDP growth is not matched by India's employment growth. Yeah. Parimal, no reason, no. I mean, I have no idea why this happens. So that is one aspect, service-led growth, first problem. The second issue that we observe in India, problem 2, problem of missing middle. Medium sector enterprises with investment from rupees 25 to 50 crore to rupees 200 crore and employment capacity of 100 to 300 workers have been found generally absent in India. In manufacturing sector. There are 6.5 crore MSME. I'm quoting Economic Survey 2019-20 to you here, 2021 to you here. So there are 6.5 crore MSME which employ only 11 crore workers. That shows that medium enterprises are not dominant. This is the point, that you have 6.5 crore MSMEs in India and they employ only 11 crore people, which means you don't have medium enterprises employing 40, 50, 100, 150, 200 people. That's not there. You have either that industrial skewness continues. Either there are very large scale enterprises or there are very small scale enterprises. Either there are very large scale enterprises or there are very small scale enterprises. And that means either you have firms which are capital intensive, they hire workers, they will hire 500 workers, 700 workers, 1000 workers, 2000 workers, but the amount of capital that they use is much more compared to the firms in the medium sector that could have done that. So again, employment becomes a problem because of the problem of missing middle. that medium scale enterprises. Now the government in the recent past is trying to incentivize that tax benefits, that firms up to turnover of 400 crore will be given tax benefits, redefining MSME and giving larger extent of possibilities to be qualified as a medium scale enterprise, both with respect to investment and turnover. Also, the government is incentivizing it by giving, the credit-linked guarantee schemes for MSMEs. So the government is trying in the recent past to expand the size of MSME, but then it is now which is what it is happening. So it will take some time to show itself in the market. Till now, what we had been doing was giving a lot of subsidies at times, or doing some small services for MSMEs, but there lies the potential, especially among the medium enterprises, and that has not been explored. In fact, to a great extent, it also explains the lack of diversity of India's exports, which we have studied earlier, and the lack of diversity in India's export destinations that we have studied earlier. So all that happens when medium scale enterprises come in. In fact, when Chinese started growing in 1990s industrially, their major thrust was on the medium scale enterprises and encouraging those medium scale enterprises to then grow big and become large scale enterprises. So that should be the ideal way, that you begin as a small scale, aspire to be a medium scale, and then large scale, and that is the way industrial evolution can go better. But in India, that has been absent, and that has been the resultant impact then is that employment generation has also been lesser, even in manufacturing sector. Also remember, there is a lot of, I'm taking that as the third point, high capital intensity in manufacturing, even in MSME, apart from large scale industries, due to a combination of rigid labor laws, schemes like export promotion capital goods. That is, if you import capital goods for the purpose of producing exportables, then the import duty paid will be rebated. If you import capital goods for the purpose of exportables, then the import duty will be rebated. So schemes like export promotion capital goods and interest subsidies and investment subsidies given by government. Interest subsidies are all those interest subvention schemes. Interest subsidies are all those interest subvention schemes, like when you talk about giving loans to people at lesser interest rate, then you incentivize them to take capital. Similarly, when you give investment subsidies as a government, that if a firm invests in a machine, then the government will compensate for that. So that's another reason where investment subsidies play a role. Remember, many of these machines are imported, and they are imported from the Western countries, which are labor scarce. So most of their technology is labor saving in nature. ज़्यादातर ये इंडस्ट्रीज जो हैं वो इंपोर्ट करती हैं फिर अपनी मशीन ऐसे कंट्रीज से करती हैं जो लेबर स्केर्स कंट्री है, जहां लेबर की कमी है, तो फिर लेबर सेविंग टेक्नोलॉजी इंपोर्ट हो जाती है रादर देन लेबर ऑगमेंटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी. If we import labor augmenting technology, that is technology which improves productivity of the worker and encourages firms to expand and hire more workers, then it will lead to more employment and more output and so on. But labor saving technology means employment becomes less even though output becomes more. So the persistence of schemes, persistence of rigid labor laws, along with import of labor saving technology, all that results in again making it a high capital intensity sector in India, even in manufacturing units. High capital intensity means using more machines than workers. Right, Ashutosh, problem of dwarf firms you can talk about. Yes, huge capital employment is one flaw of very large scale. But Ankit, they employ workers also. But the point is that the capital intensity still remains high. So for the same investment, you can again hire more workers. But if you follow on labor intensive sectors, that will be our next point. I'm coming to that. International factors like our restriction on exports. Yes, 1% companies are high in number. Okay, now let's take it to the next point that creates it. 4. Dominance of, now what happens is in Indian system, there is a dominance of large industries which are in heavy industry sector, capital goods industry sector, and there is less stress on developing larger scale of manufacturing with respect to labor intensive sector. So dominance of investment in heavy industries, capital goods industries, and basic industries. I hope you recall, basic industries are minerals like refineries and metals like steel and aluminium. Capital goods industry can be steel, aluminium. Capital goods industry can be machine building industry. And heavy industries are heavy engineering like big locomotives, heavy electricals like electrical transformers. This can be your heavy industry, capital goods industries, and basic industries. While investment support for large scale manufacturing in labor intensive industries like food processing, textile, footwear, etc., has been absent. So that's another problem due to which we have not had much of labor employment generation in India. So this is the fourth problem that we see. Then the fifth problem is poor training of the workforce. See, we did not invest. In fact, Economic Survey said 2017-18, Volume 1, Chapter 6, it talks extensively about how India should invest in high labor-intensive sector to promote more growth of industrialization, and labor-intensive industrialization. So that is again a missing link in India's story. The other problem that we see, fifth, if I can call it, is poor training of workforce, that is lack of skill development among workers, both semi-skilled and unskilled, to match the requirements of modern industries and services sector. Are unskilled workers stuck up in agriculture, agricultural labor, stuck up in unorganized sector like rickshaw pullers, and so on, are one problem part. The unskilled workers stuck up in these areas face one problem there. This is one problem that you see or observe over there. They need to be trained better to be able to absorb them in more productive activities. The second challenge is with respect to the semi-skilled workers, like say people who know how to cook or how to do masonry, to make them adapt how to do carpet weaving, how to do bangle making, to make them adapt to the new requirements of the market. And even skilled workforce in colleges, taking technical degrees, etc., needs to be well connected to industries, do internships, train themselves to learn the requirement of the industries so that better absorption of workforce can take place. Since this happens, therefore, absorption of workers is poor in Indian economy. That people get trained but still don't get absorbed in the production process. They get trained but they don't get absorbed in the production process. So this is another challenge. So these are the problems that you see with respect to jobless growth, the reasons of jobless growth. Now, what is the impact of jobless growth? All right. It can be, Swati, but again it depends on how you want to grow. That is the problem also. Right? That we have already discussed, Mayank, the MSME taxation issue. Locomotive is any moving object, Lalit. Yes, we do need to improve our ITIs, Sagar, without any doubt. Then, when you take yourself into impact of jobless growth, we see some typical impacts of it in any economy and even so in India. First is large pool of unemployed workers engaged in less productive activities, which results in reducing their contribution to economy. People teaching tuitions at times because they are not finding a good job and they are waiting for it, they are applying for it, and that creates that unemployed workforce. People taking up small jobs here and there, knickknacks as we call them. So doing knickknacks so that waiting again for a better job to prevail. And that creates again a problem because you have joblessness on one hand, and that then compromises their position and their contribution to the economy in terms of their capacity to be productive. Remember, somebody is an engineer, somebody is a graduate, a postgraduate. Their capacity to contribute in the economy can be high, but since there is absence of jobs for them, their capacity to contribute is compromised. So that is one factor that results in it. The capacity to contribute means my marginal production capacity, my capacity to produce extra. So if I am a mechanical engineer working in a software company, then you are compromising my marginal productivity. I am trained in one way and you are making me do something else. If I am an economist working for, say, only a newspaper, you are again compromising my ability to do my things. So since I don't have other jobs, I am somehow entailing myself here. So, if I'm a postgraduate but surviving on tuitions, now Now I can make good money. Please understand this. I am not saying that these sectors don't allow you to make good money, but you are not fully extracting the capacity that the individual has in being able to contribute to nation building. So that is problem one that you observe. The second problem that you observe very often in this case, the impact of jobless growth, it leads to compromising bargaining power of workers due to presence of unemployment in a growing economy, which compromises their standard of living. Remember, insecurity among workers is the factor that comes in here. Bargaining power of the worker means asking for higher wages, asking for better work environment, compensation for accident, etc. But that gets compromised when they see presence of large unemployed force, and they think, okay, rather than asking for these things and then losing the job, let's keep doing it as much as we can. And that means even though there is a growing economy, standard of living is not rising for all. Even though there is a growing economy, standard of living is not rising for all. The third thing that it creates is profit income rises at a much faster rate. That's third. Profit income increases at a much faster rate than income from wage, which leads to growing inequality. Profit income increases at a much faster rate than income from wage, and that leads to growing inequality. So that's another factor that comes in, and that again leads to further complications as you observe in the system, because now entrepreneurs make it much better. They earn huge, they become very rich, but the working class, which is in majority, doesn't get it. It also results in restricting growth to areas which are comparatively better off, well developed, like urban areas, areas with service sector dominance, and it deprives the other regions like rural areas, agricultural dominant, from growing. In fact, it is also seen in the skewed labor force distribution of India. Even now, 43% of the workforce is in agriculture, even now, because there is hardly any avenue to work in formal industrial system. So that is where again workers keep getting stuck up in those zones. So regional inequality and sectoral inequality is a related factor impact. It increases not only personal inequality, but also increases regional inequality and sectoral inequality. Urban regions with dominance of service sector tend to keep providing higher opportunities compared to rural areas with agriculture as main occupation. It is reflected in overall standard of living. So this is your next problem, that regional inequality, sectoral inequality, they start becoming dominant. Agriculture, you have unemployment and you have less employment. Services, people vie to get that employment. High wage in services, very low wage in agriculture. Similarly, urban areas, more opportunities. Rural areas, absence of opportunities. And the standard of living in terms of health, education, civic amenities, broader aspects of having luxuries of life, all that is visibly seen then among economic system, in an economic system, showing this kind of a growth process. Now, what is the remedy then? These are the impacts that we studied. So what are the remedies then? The remedies, if we come to, if we move over, remedies or solutions to jobless growth, if we move to that what are the remedies then? What is the solution? How to remove the problem of jobless growth? In India, I'm talking about it in Indian context. All right, this is in India, of course. So the remedies will be, first, developing investment in medium scale enterprise mainly in labor intensive sector. For example, the recent initiative of production linked incentive scheme in textile, the example of production linked incentive scheme in white goods, as we call them. White goods are consumer durables like refrigerator, like washing machines. So in white goods, production linked incentive scheme in electronic goods, footwear. This is one good beginning, that encourage investment in these sectors. They are labor intensive and they can work better in improving the standard of living that people can go to. तो एक तो ये फायदा है कि सरकार भी कोशिश कर रही है, मेक इन इंडिया स्कीम, आत्मनिर्भर भारत सिस्टम, in all that process, that uplift the standard of living for the people and create more employment by focusing on labor oriented sector. The second thing that needs to be done is better training of workforce by developing more coordination between industry and academics. There should be more interaction between industrial system and academia. The industrial people can go to the universities, can exchange their views, can tell people what kind of training do they want, and internship systems can be developed, apprenticeship system can be developed, and that way people can be encouraged to intermingle and promote the growth process overall. That is the important thing. Then jobless growth can again be restricted. Another is C, promoting startups through ease of entering the market, contract enforcement improvement, reduction in logistical cost, etc. A big reason why manufacturing is absent in India or less present in India, and a big reason why startups don't grow very quickly in India, especially in again manufacturing sector and medium scale manufacturing, is that our ease of entry is very difficult. We still need several permissions to enter the market. Contract enforcement is poor. The judiciary has to improve quite a bit to make sure that people trust that in case something wrong happens, the remedy will be soon available. अभी लोग डरते हैं कि कहीं धोखेबाजी हो गई, कहीं मामला अटक गया तो फंसे रह जाएगी बात कोर्ट में सालों तक, तो लोग आते ही नहीं हमारे मार्केट में. और लोगों से मेरा मतलब बाहर के लोगों से नहीं है, अपने देश के इन्वेस्टर्स से भी है. आई डोंट मीन दैट इट्स ओनली फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स हु डोंट कम इन. Even our domestic investors are worried about expanding their scale, mainly because they are worried about contract enforcement. And then the logistical cost, very high in India, which means our commodities become uncompetitive and they get dominated by the foreign system. So this is another improvement we can do to promote employment-oriented industrialization in India. Another thing we can do, D, promotion of, again, this is in continuation of what we are discussing, that how you can improve overall. So promotion of alternative source of income in rural areas. For example, some good thing government is trying to do is like a mega food park scheme. Another good thing that they are talking about is the Gobardhan scheme, galvanizing organic bio-agro resource, dhan, PM Kusum scheme. These are good ideas. They are alternative source of income that you can create. Animal husbandry infrastructure development fund, Matsya Sampada Yojana, for fisheries. So these are some good initiatives and they should be promoted and pushed forward so that the pressure of population on land comes down. That's another thing, that land के ऊपर जो प्रेशर है कि भाई सब लोग खेती करने में लगे हुए हैं और उतना उपज हो ही नहीं पा रही, उसको कम करो और लोगों को इसकी तरफ लेकर आओ. ग्रोथ भी बढ़ेगा, एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी बढ़ेगी. Growth will increase, employment will increase. More people can be absorbed here. And then secondary employment, like when these schemes grow, then more infrastructure will be needed. You construct more and that construction sector will grow and that will give you higher growth system in future. Then when it comes further is we need labor law reforms. Labor law reforms to identify flexibility in labor contract that doesn't necessarily mean hire and fire. It means it should be flexible, allow contractual labor, like the fixed time contract as we are calling it, or labor we are calling it, that remove the system of permanent job, because if firms are not giving permanent job, rather what they are doing is they are giving workers oral contracts which are of no use. So improve the flexibility in labor contract, introduce provision for entrepreneurship, protection for unorganized worker, incentive for workers training etc. So you need labor law reforms. You don't need the firms to keep contributing to employee provident fund. Let them give all the money to the workers and the worker can choose what they want to do with this money. You don't need them, you need them to incentivize them for workers training, train the worker on the job, but they will do it only when they know that this worker can be made useful and I can retain this worker. In a very stringent atmosphere, they don't do that because now they do keep them on oral contract and they are not interested in training them and the worker is not very secure in the job. So the worker is not interested in getting trained and all that leads to a lot of loss for the workers. Economic Survey, Volume 1, 2015-16, Chapter 10 is a very good chapter to read on labor law reforms that should be done. Now, a lot of those reforms have been done in India in the recent labor law legislation, but again, the implementation is absent. We have passed the laws and we are waiting. कुछ अच्छा दिन आएगा, मुहूर्त निकालेंगे, तो उसको apply करेंगे. This is the problem part. So, in your conclusion, you should write, making good laws, implementing those laws, and ensuring that ease of doing business thrives all over India will lead to growth with employment in India. You know, that kind of a conclusion you should write for such topics. That growth with employment increase in India. That is the idea of employment-oriented growth that people should try for. So go for labor training, go for reforming laws, go for entrepreneurship development, and then you can have growth with employment generation. So this is a question that I suspect can appear in your paper, and hence I gave it around 45-50 minutes to make sure that you have a better understanding of this topic. I hope you have it now. Udta Punjab has nothing to do with jobless growth, Rishikesh, I can assure you. USA has huge regional inequality, Sagar. Southern USA is still much lesser developed than the northern. No, Rishikesh, it was a good joke. Yes, education inequality index should be developed, Ashutosh, why not? Harrod's solution, you can talk, Prerna, but only thing is that if it is about a capitalist economy system, in India, Harrod's solution may not work as well. White goods, Pritika, are commodities which are consumer durables, which generally don't use a chip. You know, so refrigerators, washing machine of a lower end category, television, they are called white goods. Electronic goods, Cherish, are normally brown goods because they have a chip inside them. Disguised unemployment is different, Ashutosh. That is not about jobless growth, actually. Economic Survey 2015-16, Volume 1, Chapter 10, Saurav. Handicraft industry can work as an alternative source, Tanishq, but a better idea will be to develop other types of industries also. Now I will quickly take you through a discussion I have done with you about the main reasons for unemployment in India. So I've discussed some of them over here itself. Main reasons for urban unemployment, one is poor training of the workforce. Another is rigid labor laws. Another is continuous increase in urban workforce with an aspiration to join the industry. So people are willing to remain unemployed rather than to work in the informal sector. This has happened quite a lot in India in the last 25-30 years. That rather than taking small employment, people are willing to remain unemployed in the system. Then in the informal sector, the problem of missing middle, then the problem related to poor regulation of unorganized sector. In the unorganized sector, the workers get exploited. Then many leave their job and choose to remain outside the labor force. That's again a workforce. That is again not a good idea, but we see that happening very often. Then the cottage and small scale industries, as we discussed, have decayed to a great extent and they don't show high employment. And then the spread of automation. Automation resulting in poorly trained workers getting dislocated and not being able to find their jobs. So these are the problems that you see, post, in the urban unemployment sector, in the urban organized sector, and urban, less organized sector. And then in rural employment, you would see, that there is disguised unemployment, that is too many people working with too less land. There is over dependence on land, which we just discussed, that you need to diversify employment sources. There is fragmentation of land. The land area has become so small that it is not possible now to employ people across on them. And there is dominance of preemptive technology. Preemptive technology like using tractors where you don't need one, using threshers where you don't need one. So technology preempting the need of workers, and then lack of rural industrialization. So this is where rural unemployment has grown. Then there is seasonal unemployment due to monocropping, with irrigation facilities being weak and so on. So monocropping is there. So that you have rather than multi-cropping, multiple cropping and so on. There is also absence of technological information with the farmers, with which they can use their capacity for growing animal husbandry, etc. And there is large presence of landless labor in the rural areas where alternatives are missing. So all these are the reasons for urban and rural unemployment. You can mix it with this discussion and the remedies remain same. You can mix it with these discussions and the remedies remain same. So this is the challenge you face on unemployment per se in India. Please combine this with the labor law reform lecture that I took with you, and please see the labor law reform YouTube link I had shared with you so that you get more clarity on that now. And your questions can be possibly two. Reasons for jobless growth, remedies. Reasons for urban and rural unemployment, remedies. The remedies remain same. Reasons for rural urban unemployment I have given you and discussed with you. Or that can also ask you about the recent labor law reforms and what impact it has created in India. So these are the three possible questions from unemployment topic that they can ask you. All right. A very low labor force, female labor force participation is a problem of unemployment. Yes. No, remember the trends, Rishabh, that will be sufficient. All right, Ashutosh, correct. Main reason, Deepak, is lack of conviction in reforms. When you do reforms but you are not convinced about those reforms, that lack of conviction creates the problem. So enforcing contracts portal, Swati, will help in at least reporting wherever contract enforcement is being delayed, and that can then be taken on an urgent basis. So that's again a good idea to start off with. Okay, then today I will allow you to go have your wonderful dinner. Tomorrow I will meet you again and we will talk about Indian economy before 1947. All right, we will start. We will talk Vakil, Gadgil and Rao and then Indian economy before 1947. I don't have my schedule for tomorrow as yet. Kindly wait. I will inform you about the time of class tomorrow. All right, but I don't have the schedule as yet. So let me get the schedule and I will definitely inform you. All right, thank you for being such a sporting classroom that you come whenever I call you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. I'll see you tomorrow then. Thank you. Bye. I actually did not feel the tiredness of my classes since morning while teaching you right now. I mean, I hope you didn't feel it too in my tone or something. Thank you again. Bye-bye. Thank you, Samyak. Kumar, I have shared the data with you. You can check that. There are employment trends in that. Slide 9, Ritika, I can show you. Center for Policy Research, again, Jyotsna, the same problem. That government doesn't accept those numbers. Yes, Tanishq, automation point you can add there. No, Saurav, it will increase voluntary unemployment. Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Mayank. Thank you, Saurav. Thank you, Harshita. Good night. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Kumar. Thank you, Akanksha. ललित सब्जी लेनी है, चलो ठीक है, फिर तो लेट से खाना मिलेगा आज, तुम्हें लगता है. थैंक यू मिथिलेश, थैंक यू कृष्णा, थैंक यू परिमल. हाँ प्रतीक, चिंता मत करो, नहीं भी याद रहा तुम याद दिला देना, मैं फिर डिस्कस कर लूंगा, चिंता ही नहीं कोई, अभी तो हम लोग साथ हैं. गुड नाइट परिमल, थैंक यू पूजा. Yes, I have had Rishikesh a lot many times. One of my favorites, was introduced to it by my wife, you guessed it right. Thank you Pooja, good night. Good night Harita, thank you so much. थैंक यू शुभम, शुभ रात्रि। हाँ आयुष, मुझे भी चिंता होती है कभी कभी। थैंक यू स्वाति, बाय बाय, गुड नाइट। थैंक यू प्रिया, थैंक यू प्रेरणा, आई विल ट्राई हैविंग वन प्रेरणा। Good Ashutosh, IPOs are always welcome, you know. Thank you Tanishq, I hope you too have a great dinner. Shubhratri Pooja, I will enjoy my dinner too, thank you Rishabh। Yes Rishabh, I will try sleeping well। मुझे लगता है थोड़ा इंसोम्निया हो गया ऋषभ, मैं रात को जाग के आजकल किताबें ही पढ़ता रह जाता हूँ। थैंक यू नितेश, थैंक यू प्रीतिका, थैंक यू अभिषेक, गुड नाइट। थैंक यू सीमांत, गुड नाइट। थैंक यू रितिका, गुड नाइट। गुड नाइट ललित, गुड नाइट तनिष। Thank you Ankit, maybe the energy comes from all of you Ankit। Thank you Prince, bye bye, good night। Prelims mainly the factuals and their analysis, Deepak। Thank you Jyotsna, good night, you too have a nice sleep। Economics, lunch and economics plus dinner। Correct Prabhat। Thank you Pawan, means a lot। Thank you Astha, good night। चाय पी गया प्रतीक, मैं कुछ नहीं छोड़ा उसमें। गुड नाइट। थैंक यू अक्षय, बाय बाय, गुड नाइट। You can quote periodic labor force survey, yes Simant, you can quote that। Thank you Aman, good night। Thank you Rishikesh, good night। Thank you Deepak, a very good night to you also। Bye bye all of you, and we'll begin from here। Thank you।